Welcome, everyone. My guest today is Jason Bressler, Chief Technology Officer at United Wholesale Mortgage, to talk about AI and how UWM is leveraging that technology. Jason, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
You know what? I am so happy to have you on. We're excited. You're going to give the keynote at our AI Summit coming up on July 23rd. And so this is sort of a little bit of a preview. I'm going to be asking you a lot of tech questions and AI questions. Of course, it won't cannibalize what you're going to say there, but I think it'll just give our listeners a taste for what you're going to talk about.
Great.
So my first question is, let's just start broad. How is UWM leveraging AI?
Literally in everything that we do right now. So, we are build versus buy. So we have the ability that a lot of other companies don't to do this as quickly as we can, where we built out our own AI tenants. And then because we've built all of our own products, we're able to start utilizing the AI and building it into the existing product suites that we already have in-house. And so we've done it literally almost across the board, and also have the ability to build out, which is by far the most important part of any aspect of AI, data and a data lake, and be able to basically start from scratch to reorganize 35 years worth of data into a very easy to consume and proper format to be able to use those AI functions properly.
So, when we talk about AI, some parts of AI, we could say, machine learning, some ML is really, maybe people are calling that AI. Maybe you could define for me how you think when we're talking about how you guys are leveraging AI, what that means to you.
I mean, AI at its core is nothing necessarily new. It gained so much attention, last November when ChatGPT came out. And then everybody was so wowed by it. Now that the shine has kind of worn off because so many people have used it and seen what it is, at the core, all AI is predictive analytics. Even in generative AI, like ChatGPT and chatbots and things like that, all that it's doing is taking data and predicting either, outcomes or, in generative AI, what you expect to hear out of an answer. And so that whole scope falls into all of AI gets brought into automation, and that's definitely a piece of AI. Machine learning is probably where AI is utilized the most for people that really want to gain efficiencies within their business platforms, their workflow, things like that.
No, that's a really good distinction, because we know that there are some parts of that, automation AI that have been there for years, especially for a company like UWM, like you said, that has all this data hanging out there, right? And that's really the key, because if you don't have the right pipes, if you don't have the right, data and know that data is good, you're actually starting from less than zero.
You're right. You are starting from less than zero. And the good news, I guess, is the best way to put it, is all of us are starting from less than zero. There is not an organization anywhere, whether it's in mortgages and fintech and in any industry, that does a great job curating its data year after year. If we take the mortgage industry, every time we get busy, and up until, a year and a half ago, rates had gotten so low that we were all so incredibly busy just trying to keep up with the influx of calls coming in, that nobody really cared for their data and had a good long-term strategy. We were all just kind of trying to stay afloat, for the first time. So it is absolutely true. No matter how you slice it, no matter where you want to start, the fact is garbage in, it will give you garbage back out. It'll just be prettier and packaged a little bit nicer. And so, the key behind all of this is making sure that you have a solid data structure and a solid data plan before you really start to move forward.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about how you think about the human interaction, or the human balance with AI, right? I've talked to some people who, they're not the majority, but they're like, they're hoping AI takes all the jobs that they have at their mortgage lender. It's actually only 2 people out of the almost 40 I've interviewed on this specific topic. So I don't think that's the general sense, but I know, like, I've been to UWM's headquarters, you're famously in office, you're all there. It's not remote. Everybody's there. Do you think that AI is going to empty out the headquarters there? I mean, how do you think about that human AI interaction?
Well, from our aspect at UWM, in 36, 37 years that we've been in business, we have never laid anybody off, and that will absolutely continue. No matter how much we utilize AI, we are so invested in our team members and their growth with UWM and their career paths that absolutely not. But there are, I'm even surprised to, hear that there's 2 out of the 40 people that would say that. I mean, I think just as human beings and CEOs of companies, nobody wants to lay anybody off. Really, what we want is to be able to weather the cyclical storms of the mortgage industry. So we don't get caught in positions where when there's too much business, we're hiring recklessly just to be able to manage it. And when there's not enough, that we're laying those same people off just in hopes that maybe we get to hire them again when rates start to go back down. I think really people are looking at this as, okay, I have a team right now. I am where I am. And, rates have been high and very high, for what we've seen for such an extended period of time. People still have a core team. People are still buying homes. There are still, cash out refinances happening. There are the occasional rate and terms. And, overall, people want to say and should be thinking, how do I keep the people that I have? And how do I train them properly? And how do I utilize AI into my existing workflow and the existing products that I have or what I've built to be able to say, I don't need to hire more people. I need to be able to be very good with the team that I have, make them feel challenged, make them feel fulfilled. But as more business starts to come in, I shouldn't have to hire more people. I should be able to allow the technology to delegate a ton of the tasks that I was paying people for. And that's really where I think people want to get to first and foremost, no matter what.
I think that's a really good point, because it'd be also super disruptive to be like, okay, all of a sudden now, there's no people for our clients to talk to, or all this goes. I think that that's really the smart way to go. One thing about the generative AIs, it's moved so fast. It's evolved so fast. So here you are, this leader of, tech leader at this giant company. How do you think about that rate of change and how you guys want to respond to that, right? Like, are you taking a measured approach? Do you want to be first and fast? I mean, what does that look like?
So I'm notoriously famous for saying that I don't use vendors. I keep everything in house and rely on my family of 1,600 IT team members to be able to manage that. But the truth is, we do have to partner sometimes with other companies. What I try to do is only do it with tech giants, but I never want to be beholden to anybody who is not part of UWM. And so what we've done in all of the modeling that we've built, including the generative AI, which is moving faster than almost anything else, is we've built our back end to be able to do plug and play back ends to any tech giant that we want to work with that we think could offer a better solution, a cheaper solution, a more advanced one. We've built it so that we can pull out one vendor and one partner and replace them with another if we needed to. So we've made it a somewhat headless experience to be able to say, hey, we've got a product. We built this product. We own this product. We control this product, but it does need to be partnered with somebody. But if that partner is lagging behind in technology, if that partner isn't satisfying our needs and what we need to see and how quickly we move, then we can shift into somebody else very quickly and allow them the opportunity to provide the service that we need to provide for our team members and our brokers to be able to continue to level the playing field and then exceed the playing field for everybody else.
So I know that, you mentioned how many people on your team. It's a huge team. And I know that you, in the past, at least the last time I interviewed you, you had sort of like these open office hours where people could come in and like pitch stuff to you, right? So when it comes to AI, I mean, have you seen people just be really lit up about some of the possibilities here?
Oh my God, they're so excited. It is a constant stream of people with different ideas, different solutions. But what's even better is, first and foremost, is during these open office hours or hallway conversations or anything that I have, dinners with other team members, is everybody wants to understand the strategy of where we're going and why we're choosing to go this way. And getting the understanding first is obviously the most important part, but then they come back and, especially because we keep, especially in IT, our team members stay with the company and with us and with me longer and longer and longer. They understand why we built things the way that they did or the way that we did. And they can offer solutions of saying, hey, 2 years ago, this might have been the right thing to do. But now that I've been enmeshed in building the technology or using the technology, because we bring in so many people into IT that were in other business centers within UWM. So they understand the mortgage industry. They actually have used the software that we create. And so they're able to come in and say, hey, now that I have a base understanding of the AI and the direction and the strategy that we're going, I think we should totally shift everything and do it this way now with something like that. And, to be honest, that's where the best ideas come from. Some of them, don't necessarily make a lot of sense, but most of them have very, very specific merit to them. And, what is great about here and, having 1,600 people and being in the office and, building everything is I can empower them to actually go run with that. I'll say, hey, you know what? I love that idea. Why don't you go POC that? Show me what it looks like. Tell me what the time frame is going to be, and then come back and demo this for me. And if this really is starting to take off and something that we could scale with, all right, let's get moving. I want you to lead it. I want you to start meeting with other C-level executives, and let's start getting this thing built into fruition so people can start to use it.
Do you have any use case examples of something like that, or where someone's come up with something and you're like, yeah, this is what we should now do?
So if in the AI spectrum, I've got a ton, just not ready to talk about them just yet.
Okay.
But, from overall of our UWM technology, the products, the tech stack, it happens all the time. A lot of times it's a very small change, or you know what, maybe there is. So if I took automation, so automation is probably the easiest way to say, hey, there are 150 tasks that we have a team member do every single day. And so many of them are repetitive. They may be stare and compares. It may be clicking a button 17 different times to verify that information looks the way that it does based off of the document that they're reading on another screen, let's just say. So because we have team members that have been in the system, that have done it, that literally want to bang their head into a wall sometimes from having to do it over and over and over, but they figured out what the system is and they know ways that they could make that better. Those are like actionable examples where people come in and they say, look, and this happens all the time in technology where we build product, and especially at UWM because we move so ridiculously fast, is we'll create a product and then there's a team to support it, but then there's larger teams building new product all the time. And so we have a gap sometimes where the end user just gets used to whatever the workarounds are. Like, this is just the way the system's built. And then they come into IT and they say, hey, now that I'm here, we should be able to do replace these 17 different tasks with some type of automation, right? Because I was playing around with this tool and I think that it can do it. Those are real world examples where we can turn them loose in a development environment to say, okay, show me how you could take this bot, make it an unattended bot, and have it answer these questions, and how quickly can you do it? And then show me an ROI, like how much time does this save a team member? And then we take it right back to the business and the stakeholders. And we say, okay, well, look, we could build this in a 3-week time frame. Does this make sense for you? And if it does, then I'll actually have that team member spearhead that project and start working on it.
Well, and when you have such, a large number of employees, any 10-minute saving, 5-minute saving spread out, times however many thousands of employees are saving that time, that really is where ROI can add up pretty fast.
Yeah, and I think ROI is such a dirty word, overall. In general, everybody wants to quantify the ROI and, what that's going to mean. It's almost silly. If you can take the team members that you have, and if we all looked at the fact that we have a team, we're investing in this team, but if we didn't want to have to bring in more people, if we didn't want to have the additional headcount, then it's really that's ROI is, can we weather storms and can we increase our volume quickly? If we wanted to, tweak our margins and have more loans come in, what's that going to do to our customer service? What's that going to do to our turn times? That's the real ROI is, can we give the same experience that brokers and borrowers even are expecting from UWM? And that's really where it comes down to. It's not, hey, can this person do 50 more loans a day by having these processes automated? It's could they do more, and could we handle more volume and not have to hire more people, just as a gut check almost, if that makes sense. That's really where I think not just us, but really where everybody should really be looking is we all have secret sauces that make us successful as mortgage companies. And it's embracing whatever that secret sauce is and then figuring out how to never lose it, no matter what the business is. And that's really where technology and solutioning and things like that should really come into play, not just with AI, but just in general as it relates to ROI.
I like your comments there on ROI. That's pretty funny. So we're gonna talk about it at the AI Summit, but we're broadly categorizing tech into three categories when we're talking about this. So there's automation, which just automates the manual tasks, and then there's traditional AI, and then Gen AI. And where automation is just, like I said, automating manual tasks, traditional AI can do intelligent tasks. It can do something else, and then Gen AI is capable of creative tasks. We talked about OpenAI and ChatGPT and things like that. When you think about what the possibilities are at UWM, where do you think it lands? Do you think mostly it's, obviously everybody up to now has a lot of automation, hopefully, and then have, leveraged traditional AI. And then, what part of that is really, would you say, the Gen AI?
So again, I think that this is all around what experience are you trying to solve for it? And experience is really the biggest part of investing in AI. Is what experience do you want to enhance by using AI? And if it's generative, it's what does that actually mean for your business model? And so because UWM is business to business and we don't reach out to consumers, it's, okay, how can we use the generative AI capabilities that we have to serve information up faster, more accurately, and then how do we expand off of that? And that's really, there are different, slices to AI, like automation, traditional, generative, like you said, but, overall, it's all AI and it should all be able to tie in together. And if we think strategically about how do those actually come together, how can you utilize it under one umbrella instead of, separate ways of getting things done, it all becomes generative AI, or it all becomes, traditional AI, or it all becomes automation, because it's all really the same thing at the end of the day if you strategically bring it in. So from generative AI, we want to serve up information to our brokers and our internal team members in a conversational manner that happens incredibly quickly and is giving them answers in a different way than they would traditionally get them by going to the library and trying to look up a book, for instance. But you can take it so much further with those generative pieces to start having automated conversations. And then where AI really gets into what the next level, like specifically for the mortgage industry is. And if I took, wholesale brokers and loan officers as using it, it's actually serving up questions based off of their behavior inside of our systems. As they're moving through a screen, we can actually serve up generative conversations as they're working to be able to say, hey, you know what, you might want to do this right now, or you're choosing this product, but by the way, there's 4 more products. And if you added 1 more document, we can analyze that this second and tell you this product may actually be better for your borrower right now. That's really where both the intelligent AI and, those large language modeling that, we're calling the traditional AI merges in with generative AI to create an experience that truly enhances the work that somebody's doing and makes them smarter and faster and more efficient at what they're doing.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think it's a good distinction too. So let me ask you, like you personally, how do you make sure that you're sharp and ready for all of the things that are coming? Do you have to just constantly go back and take classes? Or, how do you make sure that you're on the cutting edge so that your team can be on the cutting edge of things?
Yeah, so I hired 1,600 people that are much smarter than me. And I, make sure that I listen to them all the time. We're very, the whole organization at UWM is different, but I can speak specifically to IT, is we are very, very bottoms up in our approach. We are not top down. I do not dictate this is what we're going to do, and you better just get it done and figure it out and get back to me because I'm telling you this is what it is. It's I really feel strongly in general that you really truly build a team by having everybody have skin in the game. The only way you can do that is by listening to people's ideas and then actually acting off of them. Anything that even has a little bit of merit, you should really let people run with that so they can fail, they can succeed, they can learn, they can keep moving forward and keep feeling comfortable to bubble that stuff up. And so that's really what we've created inside of IT. It's the open office hours. It's the constantly walking on the floor. It's knowing 1,600 people by their name. It's being able to make people feel comfortable to come to me with anything. And that's what I do with technology. It is impossible. It is legitimately impossible for any CTO, unless you're in a startup, to be able to stay on top of the latest of everything in technology. It just doesn't work that way. Nobody has capacity to do that. But you find the right people and you empower them. There are a lot of people that have a different amount of time and a different desire and a different drive to find new technologies and new ways to use them. And if they have an outlet to be able to do that, which they do here at UWM, that's how we stay on top of things, is by hearing it from the team members that are using it, from people in the business that are using it, and then we start interacting off of that.
Really interesting. So, you're leading tech at the biggest mortgage lender in the country. And we've talked here about, some of the potential good that AI can do. But, what part of you worries about the potential problems it can cause? I mean, we can think of a lot of things from fair lending to, just fraud, the different things that happen. How do you think about it that way?
Yeah, I mean, I just figure at some point the systems are going to get smarter than us and deem humans no longer relevant, and just and all of it for us, I guess. But really, in the financial space, what it boils down to are the ethics around making financial decisions based off of computer modeling. That really is where I think the biggest issue falls. If you talk about fraud, yes, somebody can come up with a way to cheat the asset statements that they're sending in, but somebody else is going to come up with a much better modeling system to be able to detect what people are doing. And it just depends how much on the forefront of, technology and AI that you actually are to be able to do things like that. What's more important, I think, is not, and it really comes down to denials, is not denying, potential borrowers just based off of computer modeling. And that's really, I think, where the next step and the next evolution in AI and in financial services is going to start to come from and be looked at. And it obviously already is. But to your point earlier, the technology is evolving so quickly that it's almost difficult to predict where the next oh my God, this could be a big issue is going to come from, because it moves that quickly. I was out this was like a year ago. I was out at Google and I was talking with a few of the engineers, and this was prior to ChatGPT coming out, and obviously that's an OpenAI and now Microsoft product, and they were talking about their modeling and what they were getting ready to release, and they said it's almost scary of how quickly this is going, and that's why they're having a hard time getting it rolled out. They said the analogy that this one engineer used was, he said, this is legitimately like if I gave my 3-year-old a very basic math book and said, hey, Dad's got to run out for an hour, so just stay with the babysitter and just scroll through this book. And I came back an hour later and he's already doing advanced calculus. That's how fast the technology is evolving and how quickly it can learn. And so, based off of that, it's so hard to figure out where these guardrails are going to be and where they're going to land, because they never really land. It's like as soon as they're out, another one just all of a sudden pops up and starts moving too. And so it's so difficult to really determine where the pitfalls are going to be, because nobody's really utilizing AI in its fullest capacity just yet to be able to be an industry standard for, okay, this is how things are going to be done now. Now we could start to see where these potential pitfalls are going to be, because it's not in practice yet.
So to that point, I think one of the things that we see the hesitation around is different lenders are using AI to do all sorts of things to make it a faster transaction, to get more information into the hands of the people who are doing that. What nobody wants to touch with a 10-foot pole yet is to have AI do any sort of decisioning for a loan. What's your feeling on that?
I would say that there is definitely somebody out there that looks at, having AI do decisioning and would be happy to touch that for sure. So, I think it's just a matter of what your appetite is for technology and how quickly you can move, and what your understanding of the mortgage industry is, and how that technology could fit into that process to be able to do that.
Interesting.
And
okay,
that's about
so
as much as I can talk about just this minute.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. That's great. That that in that way, I do think that, we're looking for the regulators to kind of make it clearer. But, I was at MBA secondary. I'm sure, you had people there too who were listening to the fact that, what the regulator said was like, listen, all the rules still apply. If your AI decides something, we're still holding you accountable for whatever that technology does because you built the technology. So in that way,
100%.
it's not different. But, one of the lawyers I talked to said, I need to, if a human made a mistake, I can explain that to a regulator. If a machine that you built made a mistake, it's less understandable.
So I'd almost, argue that that's not the case. So, the biggest piece, if you look at, decisioning or things like that, is it's all a level of confidence in what the data is and really what you're trying to solve for and how you went about solving it. So if you took the time to make sure that you have, just or fully verifiable confidence in what you're doing and what that modeling looks like, and you've tested it to death in every possible scenario you can think of, and you have that comfort level, it is almost like talking to a human, because you can show the logic behind exactly what that modeling did and exactly why it did it. And then you can actually point to where it found all the information, how it extracted it, how it calculated, like all of it. You can actually see in the same way if, Sarah Wheeler was my underwriter and it wasn't a mistake, but something happened this decision was made. I could talk to you. You could say the same thing that I could actually see in the data through the AI.
That's a great point. So you can interrogate the AI. I mean, you can see exactly what it did. Whereas
everything creates a paper trail. People and machines create paper trails. It's just making sure that and when it comes to technology, that you've created the proper paper trail to be able to show why the decisions were made, to either adjust it or justify it.
Justify it. Well, Jason, thank you so much for being on with us today. Looking forward to hearing you do the keynote at our AI Summit on July 23rd. But really, thanks for giving us a preview here. It's been great.
Absolutely. Always happy to join you, Sarah.